Today we are diving into the history of one of the most uh, beguiling and destructive elements out there, mercury.
Quicksilver.
Exactly, quicksilver. It's the only elemental metal that's liquid at room temperature, and that shimmer.
Mm.
For millennia, it convinced people it was basically magic.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? That deep-seated belief treating a known heavy metal toxin like some magical shortcut.
So for this deep dive, we're tracing its journey.
Yeah, from this supposed elixir of immortality all the way to a catastrophic environmental poison. The tragic theme, really, is this repeated failure to understand just how toxic it is.
Let's start with that quest for eternal life. It led cultures, especially in ancient China, straight into this trap.
Oh, absolutely. The ultimate prize for Chinese alchemists was immortality. To get there, they formulated these complex elixirs.
And they put mercury in them.
Mercury, mineral compounds, all sorts of things. And we have records, not speculation.
Right.
The records show that instead of, eternal life, people got acute poisoning and death, yet the belief just persisted.
And it didn't just stay in alchemy. It jumped into mainstream medicine.
It did. By the 16th to 19th centuries, mercury became a go-to treatment for syphilis.
That seems like a terrible idea.
Well, it was a terrible disease, but the cure was just as bad. You had ointments, pills, even fumigation with mercury vapor. Patients would get sick from the mercury before the syphilis even began to recede.
Which is where that phrase comes from.
A lifetime of mercury, yes. They were trading an uncertain fate for a very certain poison.
So beyond medicine, the toxin starts creeping into people's lives in other ways, involuntarily.
And that brings us to industrial exposure and probably the most famous cultural link we have today.
The Mad Hatter.
The Mad Hatter. It all starts with the felt hat industry in the 17th and 19th centuries. They used mercury compounds to process the felt.
And the workers were just breathing this in day after day.
All day. And that sustained exposure led to a condition called mercurial erethism. It's a neurological disorder.
And the symptoms.
The sources are really clear on this. You get tremors, they call them the Hatter's shakes, but also intense irritability, paranoia, shyness, just a total personality shift.
Wow. So the Lewis Carroll character wasn't an exaggeration.
Yeah.
It was a documented medical condition.
It was a reflection of a real widespread occupational disease.
But exposure wasn't just for hat makers, was it? For centuries, you could just buy this stuff.
You could. Mercurous chloride, better known as calomel. It was a common cure-all medicine right on the shelf.
Ugh.
For everything, but mostly as a powerful laxative, and tragically, for teething pain in babies.
Oh, no.
And this is what led to what was called pink disease, or acrodynia, a devastating condition in children, often traced directly back to the mercury in teething powders.
That pattern of just environmental blindness, it really escalates in the modern era.
It does, and Minamata disease in 1956 is the turning point.
Why was that so different?
Because it wasn't a single event. It was long-term industrial negligence. A factory dumped its wastewater full of mercury into Minamata Bay. But then you see a process called bioaccumulation kicks in. The mercury gets converted to methylmercury in the water, and then its concentration just explodes as it moves up the food chain.
From the shellfish to the fish.
To the people who ate the fish. And the result was just devastating central nervous system damage for the local population. A whole community poisoned over decades.
And this wasn't just a coastal problem.
Yeah.
Our sources point to the Iraq disaster in the early 70s.
Right, 1971 to 72. That showed how widespread the danger could be. This was seed grain for planting that was treated with a methylmercury fungicide.
And people ate it.
They ate it. There was a failure in labeling, in communication. They baked it into bread. Thousands of people suffered severe, often fatal, poisoning across a huge area.
So connecting all these dots, what's the big takeaway?
The history just shows us that mercury was literally everywhere, in our medicine, in our industries, in our food, and we only learned how dangerous it was in retrospect after, repeated large-scale tragedies.
The lesson from all this seems pretty clear then. We have to manage these exposure pathways. We need rigorous enforcement of our standards and regulations.
That's the solution history gave us. But let's leave you with this final thought to chew on.
Okay.
Our industries are still innovating, right? Pumping thousands of new, complex chemical derivatives into the environment every year. So the question is, are our modern standards truly capable of keeping pace with that innovation? Or are we just setting ourselves up for the next chapter in the history of unexpected toxins?